I encourage, it's not my place necessarily, because everybody that watches her watches for a reason. Ask really specific questions. If a vague answer to a yes and no question is, there's so much wiggle room for interpretation. And I think that when somebody is looking for a yes or no, they're going to project everything that they want into that yes or no answer. They're going to cherry pick from it. So. This is how I understand dowsing rods, which Megan uses, pendulums, which is somebody holding on a string something, Ouija boards, and tarot cards. The similar aspect of all of those is I believe that there is a real connection to them working through the quantum field and the subconscious mind and picking up external influences beyond the five senses. The thing is even with somebody with the clear connection with the dowsing rods, let's say Megan, that if I, the viewer, am looking at them, I can turn over my power to the dowsing rods, which takes away from my ability to grow and make decisions, because I'll look for someone else to decide for me or to influence my decision. I fall into that with tarot cards. I've seen that and I'm just like, well, I had a real shitty week. Let me see what the tarot cards are saying. It's like, oh, I don't like, lottery? I'm on it. That's great, right?
But that could influence your decision, and
right, because it makes it. I believe it helps the decisions come out of context. There's a dependency that can be made about this. So, where's the information coming from? In her, she identifies some of her teachers or guides or spirits, and that's particular to her. I guess I would have mine as well.
Yeah.
And the thing is each person that's a channel has their own level of clarity and filtration. So if you ask me to channel on a day that I'm just not in it, you're going to get a lot of me and not a lot of channel.
Yeah.
And there's different types of channels. There's the turn over the voice channel. There's conscious channeling, which is more what I do, which is more this flow talk. It comes through my vocabulary. It comes through my personality. But there's just things hitting me. And I mention them that I didn't think about before. That's why I can't ever remember what I say in these things. The dowsing rods, let's say I'm holding them. What it is the copper is a very strong conduit, not just with the earth. That's why they use them for water and oil and other things.
Treasures.
But energetic to thoughts. Each of our auras moves forward. So if I was in proximity to you, they would be picking up your energy, right? It's a voltage. We're batteries. Our bodies are batteries.
Well, yeah, we do produce energy, yeah.
But if I'm not clear, I could have an entity that may not have a great understanding or not really interested in, some people call them, this guy named Sterling always used to call them prankster spirits, but I would call them low vibers. And they can come in if a person is open to it. And how is a person open to it? A person open to low vibration is they're curious about horror, macabre. You know, it's like, oh yeah, let me see the guts on that body spill. They're into it. So they're going to attract more of it. But she doesn't strike me as that type. She seems like she's on a genuine journey herself. And I think that the dowsing rods will not be with her forever. I don't think she'll need them. I think she uses them because of what's working now. It's a visual cue. Because I don't have anything that gives a visual cue, it's not as compelling. But if I had a light bulb in my hand,
and it lit, right?
And it lit up.
Yeah.
You'd be like, whoa, because people want something that resonates with the five senses.
Yeah.
Now, when I hold a pendulum, and it's very effective, you can hold a pendulum and ask a question and not move your hand or think you're not moving your hand, but there's micro motions that the subconscious can make. This gets into quantum mechanics, the emotion code, and things of that nature. Tarot cards, if you watch tarot cards, general readings on the YouTube, those are curious. I watched hundreds of hours because I was fascinated. I was never interested in tarot cards, and I'm like, what's going on? And I would, I'm a Libra, and I'd be like, oh, look at this. You got this lady who's maybe 60 and she's doing the reading, and then you got this kind of looks like a rap star doing her thing over here, but the cards they flip are similar energetically. Not everybody.
Right.
So I thought, what are they picking up on? They're picking up on the whatever energy there is of a Libra energy, that they're sensitive to that. My cautionary tale with tarot cards is they can become very addicting. I watched a lot, but I always watch from a kind of a study point, and I fell into the trap of, it was during a time when I wanted to hear some good news.
Right. You subconsciously already want something positive,
Yes.
and you just like fall into this.
So the titles in tarot cards are very alluring. Some people learn how to do the clickbait with that, and I think anybody that's doing clickbait with spirituality, it's a competitive field. It's like, well, how do I get eyes on relevant, authentic information? Oh, I gotta play this damn clickbait game? Okay. But very quickly with tarot, I avoided any tarot person, even in curiosity, that led with fear or led with overabundance. You must read this now. I'm like, this is like the National Enquirer.
Don't tell me what to do. Yeah.
No, it's just like, it's like coming from an imbalance already.
Yeah.
I was with Fran, and she bought me a deck of tarot, and I know nothing about it. It seemed extremely tedious to me. I'm like, oh, okay, what am I doing? I don't have a clue.
You have a deck.
Yeah, I didn't buy it. She was gifted to me because I wasn't.
Bring it in next time.
Yeah. Then there's the Ouija board. The Ouija board, I think, is the most susceptible to negative influences because it involves many people's consciousness, or at least two, where you put the Ouija board is like a monopoly board with letters and words, and there's what's called a plenant. It's a little
thing with a circle. It's a triangle thing with a glass.
If you put your hand on it and you put your hand on here and we ask a question, you'll feel it move and you think someone else is moving it. Don Weldon from Creative Guidelines, and this is the website that we're launching, he talked about his group started communicating with the Ouija board, and they found out they were getting a lot of interference, and then they were given protection over their circle because their intentions were pure. So two things happened. One is the communication got cleaner, but then it became too slow, and so Don began channeling. It takes a long time to ABC your way to enlightenment. But also, those messages are really just a spiritual perspective. Not every spiritual message is the truth. It is a truth. It is something that I can handle at a certain time. It's kind of like, if you look at the sun, it's going to hurt your eyes. You can only take so much.
Yeah.
But if you put a filter in, something that helps you absorb that amount, it's the same thing. So I can receive spiritual teachings that I'm not able to process yet. I can't handle it. I'm either not in the right place or it's not relevant to me. That's why we started filming these micro synchronicities, because I think spiritual growth operates on not a linear timeline, and that I could have that little elf moment that we referenced. So Pasha, you know that we've been talking a lot about reaction videos. Yesterday we had the big talk about we're going to do all these reaction videos. This time I would choose reaction videos. And so that was my homework last night. Go home, find some videos. I was going through, I just wasn't feeling it. I saw a bunch of videos and they were same old, same old. So I went to the search feature and I'm like, I'm just gonna sit still and I'm just gonna use the letters and I'm gonna type what I think. Whatever comes to mind, I'm just gonna go one letter at a time. So I'm typing and I type in little elf. What the f? Little elf. I'm like, okay, let's Google that. So some show from Shark Tank came up, about some guy's wrapping paper or whatever. I'm like, that didn't mean anything. Then I go to lay down before bed, and I remembered you had sent me two videos. One was an interview with a particular person, and the other was a video of a guy having a near-death experience, or a death experience. And it's a rather lengthy interview, a very credible guy, a paramedic or a doctor, I can't remember. And he's going through this big, long story about what happened before he got sick, during sickness, all this stuff. Really remarkable story. And then he talks about this moment in the middle of the video, we'll show it. There was no slang being used. And he says, and then there was this part, he said, I came back and then I was in a physical place and I'd read this book, Communion, and I got these little alien guys around me. They're very happy and stuff like this. And he goes, these little elves were all around me.
So I'm flying along and these orbs are all around me, these stars, these colored wonderful things, and they're just, everything was acceptance and love and joy and like a homecoming, like I was parading through this group. And all of a sudden I landed in a place that was solid. It was real. It had indirect lighting. There were tables there and equipment, and there were beings there. And right in front of me were these three short little dumpy guys in these dark robes with hoods, and I could see parts of their faces, and they were smiling from ear to ear. Their eyes were bright, and they were asking me all kinds of questions, and they were giggling, and I was very confused. But I saw this a picture of this movie Communion. And so I watched the movie, this was years ago, and those dark little elf-looking guys that Christopher Walken is hanging with in a spaceship or whatever they're portraying there, they looked exactly like that, except they were super good-natured, playful, mischievous, and they had big smiles on their face, and their eyes were bright.
And I was like, are you kidding me? Within a few minutes, little elf meant nothing to me, and he had used no vernacular of storytelling for children. And so I was like, oh, Pasha will like that one. Yeah, pretty cool. And then all of a sudden, it's valid 10 minutes from then.
And it's not your first experience with that?
No, many times. But then something can unfold a year later. Like, what were the cues for Plaza Grande to happen, right? If I had been kind of taking notes along the way, maybe I would have seen the synchronicities. For me, it's not critical, but for the storytelling aspect, I'm becoming more involved in expressing these synchronicities because there's this delicious beauty to them.
Yeah.
It's my form of dowsing rod credibility because I can't go back in time and fake that stuff.
No.
It's we talked about that. It was there. It's in the bag. Let's see. So my overarchingness about the dowsing rods for Megan is she could probably let go of those rods at any moment. I don't think she needs them. I think she uses them for content reasons.
The visual. Yeah.
Yes. The other thing is if someone's buying them, you have to clear your space.
I have a couple other questions, but
go ahead with the other. We can come back.
No. Like we're in it now. How do you clean your space?
Well, my ear just started ringing, so I'm supposed to hear your questions. Go ahead.
All right, let's talk about life on Mars and Venus.
Ah, you're
Yeah.
going. Oh, you want the spiritual entertainment? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me talk about spiritual entertainment.
Yes.
When I was a kid, we had what's called matchbox cars. Do you know what a matchbox car is? It's a miniature metal car with little wheels. Hot Wheels.
Hot Wheels.
Okay, they're called Hot Wheels now. And then as kids, we'd build this racetrack.
Okay.
And then we'd
like
start the
going-
car from the counter, and it'd have enough inertia to go around the track.
Yep.
But at some point of the track, it would start to slow down. And so Matchbox built these rotating tires, wheels. And the car would slow down, and then it would hit it.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's what spiritual entertainment is. When you're low on steam and you need a push to get to the next turn, something that keeps you captivated, that keeps you moving into that momentum. I believe that spiritual entertainment is important to a degree. Like I always wanted, I'm like, give me that reassurance, let my five senses absorb it. So your question about Venus.
Right. How does that tie into spiritual entertainment?
So I have access to a lot of tapes from the material that I've become the steward of from Don Weldon.
Yep.
And in those tape collections of over 500 tapes, there's channelings, which were teachings of love and understanding and spiritual growth. And then there were some other tapes that we discovered that were past life regressions. I've listened to some of those. A lot of people here haven't. They're much as a discovery for me as they would be for someone listening the first time.
Now then, you are on this Atlantis. You are a part of the culture there. You do talk too, don't you?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to count to 3. And when I hit the 3, you will speak to me, you will address me, and tell me some of the same things that you have related, but you will tell me in the language that you had at that time. In the language that you spoke there. Number 1. You're opening up to this. Your mind is receptive to this. You are back in Atlantis now. Number 2, you're definitely there. You feel as if you're there. You know that you're there. And you do remember. Number 3, just speak right up and talk to me.
Tu as rêvé je l'ai quitté le pot. J'ai le porté que tu veux. Avec aussi, der really porté à Schlebor, avec portisha. Och det brukar ju porté till jag kvar i. Vi har en modifikat det nådligare för jag kvar. Och kan jag pointera vid kul. Och för det kan jag montera i att komma till fest till måndag. Det är så måndag kvar. Kiri Viers, Ari Kibon, stervi okay.
Now, then, would you translate that into English for us, please?
There is a sea. It is a very important part of Atlantis. And there are 2 pillars that guard our harbor. There are tall buildings and dome buildings and the temples.
And what Don would do is when he would age regress people through hypnosis, he would take them into past lives. And the tapes are fascinating. Somebody will speak another language, somebody is like, what the, you know? But he would regress them. Okay, go further back, go further back, go further back. Where were you before you were on Earth?
I've heard part of those.
Okay. When scientists are looking for life on other planets, they're looking for physical life. In my meditations, I've seen that the sun is inhabited. So it's very fascinating.
The sun
is inhabited. Yes. So Venus, planet of love, all that comes from somewhere. All that mythology has the energetic source. And Venus, from these tapes that I was listening to, we're talking about this was a very enlightened place spiritually. And when we were on Venus, it was very high vibing, right? And then we made our journey to Mars. Mars was a warring planet, and then we came to Earth.
Right.
And so I'll leave the tapes for the discovery because they talk about what life on Venus is like.
Check the description.
Yeah, well, we got to find the tape. I got to post them.
Right.
Some of the past life regression stuff we may need to edit. I don't want to. There's some predictions in them that would be disturbing for some people, and I don't think they're necessarily authentic. Let me talk to you about predictions. In one of those tapes as example, it could say XYZ bad thing's going to happen in 2024. And one of the tapes said that. What it was is this prediction was coming from 1960. And what happens is the person that's filtering all this stuff is reading the current energies, which means there's a construct for this to be a likely thing to happen.
Right.
But there's many things that can happen in between that change it.
Yep.
So a lot of the psychics were talking about Biden winning the vote. Very few of them were talking about Kamala. And what one very credible psychic explained this, he said, look, he said, there's this timeline. And in one of my meta talks, I talked about karma. And it's sort of like explaining it as this rope. It's like the rope gets you from point A to point B, but there may be knots in the rope, and then it's not like yoink, a straight line.
Yeah.
And they were talking about that what happened with Kamala is like a slinky effect. So when you have the slinky like this, this is just metaphorical sort of example talk.
Yeah.
You have Biden, he wins, let's just say. And then you have another Republican, and then there's a big long time before Kamala was gonna win. And what happens is there was some sort of bump that allowed, this is someone else's explanation, that the slinky came together and they avoided this 8-year leap before she was going to be president, and it accelerated it. So there were the predictor people saying this, that, and the other, but apparently that can change. I don't know who's going to win.
Things aren't certain yet.
I know who I'll vote for, but I have one vote. The predictability and the way psychics operate is they're tuning into a particular energy at the time. Where it gets different is when someone has a very clean connection with what's called the Akashic records. The Akashic records are, nothing is lost. And from a metaphysical perspective, no experience that you have is ever lost in any life. It's all recorded, it's all documented. You can access it.
Interesting.
So yeah, so this is why my question about, or answer about time travel was impacting about my physical body moving into a different time. I don't know, that'd be cool, but I don't know that that's possible. It seems like it would just create a lot of chaos. I can go back if I have access to the Akashic records. At least that's what I hear. So spiritual entertainment is these juicy morsels of what could be. And you even told me about them. You and Kay were on the internet and you said, Mike, create mystery. People will investigate where they become curious.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it sounds manipulative to me, but it's up to that person.
Yeah.
So you're asking for the same thing.
Right.
In many ways. It's like, oh, tell me something that will help me decide which way is right for me. But it's on you to decide.
Yeah.
But you're in a very unique place.
Sure.
All of you are. in a very unique place. This is a highly unusual environment. Not to say that Kay has very different beliefs than any of this. Daniel has very different beliefs.
I don't even know what Daniel believes in.
He'll likely not talk about it, right? I'm just saying that there's room for everybody here to be in their own space.
Right.
And it's 100% okay.
Yeah.
But my voice, moving forward, there's a shockwave that goes out
Yeah.
of, oh, my boss is talking about aliens. Oh, my boss,
Imagine.
I just recorded my boss talking about a
Oh, what do you
dream.
do at work? I'm on a date.
It's
What
not-
do you do? Oh, I'm editing for this crazy guy who talks about aliens every day.
Yeah, well, not every day. I wish I could talk about aliens. But it's an unusual
Yeah, it
circumstance
certainly is.
because a lot of the metaphysical influencers, I guess that's what they're called now, they're kind of a one-person show, or they and their partner. They don't have a team necessarily around them because it's too freaking dodgy. You know, where does the money come from that to support this team? And this is another part of our journey where we talk about Villa Oasis, the law of attraction and manifesting and not creating from the hands. It's like, where does this guy get his money? Well, I have a successful business that funds this, but it doesn't fund it enough, so I'm changing the way I manifest. And that's the current experiment. So you had another question. I got sidebarred.
You always go on these long tangents.
That's conscious channeling.
That's fine. Life on Mars and Venus, we talked about that.
The tapes are there.
The tapes are there. I'm curious
I'll
to see
find
them
out
because
some.
I've seen the one from Venus, the channeling when the lady started.
Well, they're
talking
audio
about it.
tapes, so
Audio
seeing
tapes.
them is different.
Oh,
Yeah.
I heard them.
Yeah, exactly.
But also, you were talking about cleansing
Yes.
space.
So there's different ways for different people. And I think that whenever someone is giving I repeat the techniques that I use that are comfortable for me. Someone may teach me another one in the future and I might glom onto it. If you hear somebody teaching this works, well, it worked for me. I'll be happy to share it, but you might have a different way, and it has to do with comfort zone. So for some people, they would say a prayer, and maybe it would be to Jesus, maybe it would be to God, maybe it would be something like that. But basically, it's an invitation to higher vibration energies to surround them with love and light. So a prayer is basically a word construct that is deeply meaningful for the person. To me, that's kind of what a prayer is.
Yeah.
Because the person that's saying the prayer is initiating the energy for the prayer. I think a really good prayer is an invitation and asking for help, but not really specific help. It's like help that my spirit needs in my spiritual growth. That's kind of I think the right way to approach it.
Yeah.
For cleansing, there's grounding techniques.
What works for you?
I use a technique called divine love. And divine love is the movement of what I believe is the life force of God. Remember in one of the videos you edited and I went into this meditation and I went into the meditation saying, what is God? And the answer that came immediately was, God is the energy and intelligence of love. I was like, wow, simple. It was like a haiku. So what I do is I use the technique for using divine love to come up through my feet and my legs and up through my body, and I begin breathing this physical substance that you can't see with your eyes. Embody it with gratitude. Gratitude is a great protective force. But I also am pure intentioned. My idea of if I was purifying myself for channeling or dowsing rods, my pure intention is my protection, because I am not interested in influencing you in any way to come on board. It's just saying, this is what I'm doing. You can eat what's on the table or not. You can eat anywhere else. It's not. This is the difference between someone expressing their journey and someone looking to create a cult. A cult is looking for people around them to empower them.
Yeah.
You go plant the corn. We need corn. Go build a house. No, it's not that. I use divine light, and there's certain visualizations. Because the other thing's a whole nother video. Here's the simplest visualization. If you wake up in the morning, and in the same way you put your pants on, you go through this funny little motion of you bend down to pull up your pants, but you're pulling up this tube of light around you like a sleeping bag, and you pull it up over your body, and you see the glowing radiance around you. It like has a physical structure, and then you put this up over your body, and you kind of tie it off, and you let the energy continue out into space. This creates this bubble around you that softens your vibratory rate, and anything that is going to impact you is likely to impact you softer, is my opinion. What does that mean? You could be like, oh, well, for some reason I'm supposed to be in a car accident. You can have a car accident that's a smack, or you can have a car accident that's a bump, but you still needed to have the car accident. Divine love softens things.
I see.
a lot. It's like this beautiful shock absorber, because you no longer need the impact, because that love is bringing understanding. And the whole point of an event, a catalyst, is to generate understanding. There's other ways to purify. So I would sit, when I meditate, I have a mantra. I am love, I am light, I am beauty, I am joy. I am love, I am light, I am beauty, I am joy. I say something to displace the noise of my mind.
Do you truly believe in what you're saying?
I
or
do.
You just say it? Because you can't just say it, otherwise it doesn't really
I'm
work.
beginning to believe it.
Right.
Because at the beginning it's not.
Oh,
It's a fake it till you make it sort of thing.
Yep.
But if you ask actors, how do they get into a character?
Like positive affirmations over and over.
They practice getting into that character. I want to get into a character that I never have to leave. That's the difference. And that character is of love, it's of light, it's of beauty, and it's of joy. I got a catchy last name. I'm lucky. That might be one thing. Someone else may, like a religious perspective, they may cleanse, like they have to cleanse the body. It's a lot of scrubbing and a lot of showers and a lot of stuff over their shoulders. Not my jive at all. So you could find a way. Well, let's find a way for you to cleanse yourself. I don't even know what you believe in.
At this point, I don't even know what I'm believing in.
Okay.
What I believe in.
What brings you comfort and safety?
My bed.
What else?
A hug.
Okay, so let's start
Love.
with that.
Yeah, I mean,
So
that makes
when
sense.
let's work with this. Change what your bed is. Illuminate that bed into a bioluminescent structure of light. Get
like
into
on a
that bed.
subconscious level.
Yeah, no, just a visual. It starts with visual. You get into that bed and you pull the covers up over you. And you begin to absorb that light, because when you got into bed, you're a different color than the bed in the mind. Typically,
I see
people
what
see
you're
their
saying.
body.
I see what you're doing there.
And when you get into the bed and you pull the covers over you, begin to absorb that light. You're not absorbing a blanket or a mattress, you're absorbing the illumination. So you begin to breathe with that bed. And remember, not through your mouth, nose. Your whole body is breathing. That's what a vibratory rate is. It's you breathing. It's your vibration breathing, and it's very fast.
Yeah.
So that's one way. If you struggle with, if maybe you've had a life that you just don't feel safe about anything, find one thing, me, a cat, an ocean, whatever it is.
Whatever brings you comfort in some way, yeah.
And then think of that, think of yourself there, and then freaking light it up. Illuminate everything about that picture and absorb yourself into it with the intention of just saying, I want to be in a beautiful place. I want to be in a safe place. Want is not the right word. I am in a beautiful place. I am in a safe place. If that's done enough, something shifts. I don't know why. The vibrational shift that you at the fast food restaurant no longer exists. You in conflict with a driver no longer exists, because you have replaced those vibrations with something else. And once you replace those vibrations with something else, now there's room for another message to come through, whether it's a message of peace or support or love or communication, if you choose.
Well, that was interesting.
In closing, if somebody was interested in this conversation, we have these freestyle conversations here in the building. They're called meta moments, meta talks. And it's when I sit across from you or another person. In-house, it's you and Yana, because it's convenient. Kay said he would like to join in.
You've had one with Nata.
We had one with Nata. She's like what? And
I mean, some people can, and some people
look,
just,
it's not. I
that's
don't want to
okay.
ask anybody to be in a vibe they don't want to be in, because it's not. It's weird, because you guys work here. I write the checks. That creates an imbalance of conversation. What I've strived to do is to do it enough times where when you're talking to me, that's not even a part of the conversation. It's just a guy.
Yeah, you're just a guy.
Just a guy.
Just a weird guy talking about aliens.
Right, exactly. I'll take the title. So we have those talks, and they're being cut with, we have a lot of content that's not yet up. So Megan, thank you for sparking this conversation with us. And
thank you.
I look forward to maybe meeting you someday. You seem like you're in tune with something really wonderful.